more with being an expat or a refugee, because I don't resonate with being an expat. I am not like an older retired person. Like I didn't come here to just like live the life and chill out. Like I actually feel like I left my country because I was terrified and I knew instinctually what was coming at home. I didn't leave, like I left feeling empowered because I knew it was the right choice for me, but I would not have left my home if this wasn't the current situation. So I actually feel more like a refugee.
I think that's also a timing though, like we came at a different time than them.
Yeah.
So like I associate more with refugee because, and I always joke about it, I'm like, whoever thought Canadians would be seeking refugee and refuge in different countries, right?
Did you know that in New Mexico, the governor
offered
like refugee status to Canadians,
asylum,
pushing through a bill. I was like,
I do think timing plays a part.
Yeah.
Again, I think your previous life experiences play a part. So my whole family is from the Middle East originally, and so they've lived through war and they've fled with, you know, literally their belongings and not $100, $200, whatever $1,000 in anything, like just complete pure. I'm coming. I'm gonna stay in a hostel. I don't have family. I can't immigrate. All these things, right? I feel like an expat. I feel like it was a choice that we made, and I feel like hopefully we will still have choice going forward. It's not an all or nothing. It wasn't, and I don't think it is for everyone. And I don't see. It's funny. I don't associate expat with older, like or retiree. I get that previously it might have been very much that way, and like you can see it here too in pockets. But I think it's very different now.
Like there's like a millennial identification with the word expat, and like I just want to reiterate, like I still also chose to leave Canada, but I chose because of the circumstances.
You didn't feel like you really had a choice.
Yeah.
We chose to leave too because when they told us that after a certain point in time, after November 30th, you will not be allowed to leave. I was like, that doesn't sit with me being locked. I mean, I challenge authority anyways, but like for you to say you cannot.
Where you're not allowed in the store, you're not allowed to see your friends, you're not allowed this unless you have the job. Like that's not.
And for me, like, I mean, that was terrible, but for me it was that you can't leave this country. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why can't I leave? If things are so terrible, like why can't we leave? That's the epitome of choice, is being able, it just felt like it was turning into a very abusive relationship.
Yeah.
Where it's like, your abuser will tell you can't leave.
Yeah.
I will kill you if you leave. I will hurt you. I will live. And I was like, this is kind of, I feel like I'm being abused by my government right now. Okay. So very much a choice. I probably more so relate to that because I felt like it was a choice that was, choose your heart. Everything is a choice, right?
Yeah.
But it felt like it was less and less of like a choice that I wanted to make versus a choice that I had to
Exactly.
make, right?
Yeah.
But expat, I definitely can appreciate that now. Like the modern day expat is us.
Yeah.
It's this age group, it's this demographic, it's digital
also
nomads,
kind of like you're
people.
saying, choose your heart, right? Are you pushed from something or are you pulled towards something?
Yes.
And I think
But I felt both. I felt
lot
like I was pushed to leave because I was feeling pulled to thrive.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
But I do think it's perspective, right?
Yeah.
Because you can look at every situation both ways. So we can identify, label, focus on the parts that pushed us or the parts that weren't working or that we felt compelled to and identify in this like, I feel like I was pushed, or refugee, or whatever kind of that connotation. Or you can look at it as, okay, well, what was actually, like, what was aligning you or magnetizing you more to this choice, to this way of life, to this,
and that's
all the good, the bad, the ugly, the ups, the downs, like, but what felt more of that click. And for some people, I think they'll come and, I don't know, within a week or two, they'll be like, it's not for me, and it's okay. Like I don't think it will be for everyone.
I think
anywhere.
And I know
Just like vaccines are not for everyone.
And we came before the big push of people who came, and so there was a piece of me that struggled for a little while in understanding and because we really came for adventure. So when I meet clients now, I really try and get them in that mindset of I understand you're feeling pushed.
Yeah.
But I'm asking you to embrace like what you're going towards because that when you embrace that
energy.
you come with this different energy of oh my god we're gonna go to the beach every other day because the sitting in the
It's just sitting in activity.
It is.
But is that what the word refuge or refugee stands for everyone? Is there such a deep negative connotation to the word that it's like,
I don't think there's ever been a positive refugee experience.
No.
Well, probably not.
No.
Yeah.
But I think too is that, and this is something I've said before, is we decided to come and do this. We love Canada. We just don't agree with what's going on in Canada right now, right?
Yeah.
So, and that that is hard for people to
Hear.
hear because they think, well, they associate the two. No, I love my country.
This or rather than this and. It's
Yeah.
going this or that.
It's that all or nothingness. that
Whereas
talks about.
now, I just feel like I don't agree with what's going on. I may not agree with some of my friends and my family, and I just agree to disagree now, and it is what it is. And that has allowed me to sit better with being here and wanting to thrive here and grow here and start a networking group so to help people in business so that we can help each
Thrive.
other thrive and grow and do all those things. Because if you choose to stay, you're
You have to
also
make your life somehow.
Yeah.
exactly, yeah, you have to decide. And when we came, we've been through all the roller coasters and now, you know, I'm watching people arrive now, and
The
it's
timing
kind
is
of,
hilarious.
it's
Everyone has
cute.
just about everybody at the 2-month mark, the 3-month mark.
it's really
Yeah,
cute.
it
I
is.
say
It's
it's
like-
cute, but it's like, oh, look at them, they're going to the beach today.
Yeah.
Oh, they found that restaurant that, you know, and, oh, we were there, you know.
It's a
So,
journey.
and
It is.
it's fun to watch because it's like, it allows me to be nostalgic about 11 months ago. And, you know, I think one of our friends posted the other day, you know, a little video of it being in the grocery store, no mask, and we arrived wearing masks, you know,
Yeah.
so
It
it
was
was like,
so emotional.
it's so cool.
It was
It is
emotional.
it is cool to watch, and you know, you don't want to sort of fan it that this is what we're living,
Yeah.
but at the same time,
Bring awareness to
you
it,
want to
though.
bring
Yeah.
you want to be
Yeah.
happy for yourself, and you know, at the end of the day, there are realities of making this move happen.
Totally.
Yeah.
I want to
think-
talk about some of those realities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we should, because I feel a lot of people feel like they have no choice.
Well, and not only
Yeah.
that, but like in what you're saying, like what's pulling you, what you said, you know,
Yeah.
what's pulling you. A lot of what pulled me to here is actually what the struggle has been. So like the affordability of being pulled here, because that's what, again, I didn't research. That's my own fault.
Same.
right?
Oh, same.
Like,
I fully take
took,
accountability for.
I took
for-
the influencers'
Exactly.
information as gospel.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and I
Exactly.
think that one's a hard one because it depends, and you can go with the gospel
Mhm.
and then also see what works for you. We chose, and
I'm
I'll-
still trying to make it work. Like, I will make it work.
Yes.
I will make being here affordable. Abundance flows easily to me, and I'm meant to be here, so I will be supported to be here. It was like that scarcity mindset, and my husband being so, we can't afford it. We also chose, on top of, you know, the $1,800 rent and the $600 car and the internet that we need, we chose one of the most expensive schools to put our kids into. Like, these are our choices that we made, but I fully believe that I can afford to live here. But it doesn't mean that just because this is
Well-
my affordability, that it's gonna be your affordability
Yes.
or your affordability.
And I think that's the, you know, for us, we started in a penthouse condo, 2 floors, and we got a great deal. It was low season. They had not had anybody in the place for like months and months because of the situation. We got a deal. After 7 months, they realized, oh, high season is coming.
And more people are coming.
More people are coming. We're gonna want to make more money. So we moved into a villa. Both places cost $1,800
But hold on, you
US.
moved to a villa because they kicked you out. I feel like
Yes.
that's really important.
Well,
to
they
tell
add-
people. Like,
yes.
there's no protection for renters here.
There's some,
Like,
there's
you
some-
get,
yeah.
if they don't want, they decide they don't want you in their house anymore, you're gone. Kids or no kids, like, there's no protection
There
for
are
renters.
some people that
That's a
are
hard
not
reality.
as they weren't awful about it.
You did get
Um,
30 days notice and they paid you for your move though.
Well, they gave us 30 days. We did negotiate that if we had not found something in 30 days that they weren't gonna kick us out. That was an agreement. And I did ask for moving costs because I was
Okay,
like, you're
good for you.
asking me to move.
And they paid them.
They paid them, yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
I
that's
mean,
the thing
so
that we were talking
have
about
to.
before with
they
money.
didn't have to. They didn't have to. And then
Everything's negotiable
Yes.
here.
There's
Just because you're given a
conversation.
price, you know?
And then we came
Yeah.
here, she had originally said yes to 12 months, but we soon found out that no, and unfortunately the owner, it doesn't work for us, like that energy of what she brings to the table, and I thought, no, I don't wanna do this, and I don't wanna pay what we're paying now, cause you know, 1,800 is 2,400 Canadian if
Yeah.
we
And
do
you're
the-
coming into low season, so like for us where we're staying, like I told our property manager, if we're going to be here from April 1st forward, I'm not paying you $1,800 a month anymore. You're going to lower my rent. Like I see all the other places around the area. I see how prices change. you cannot expect me to keep paying you high season prices if I'm here in low season.
What's nice
Yeah.
for them is that, like, I think to what you just said, right, to both sides, is renters don't have
They're
protection.
negotiable.
Yeah.
The owners also don't have protection. So
Right.
you can be like, you know what, I see what's going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go choose something different.
Yeah.
Because in
Here's your 30
Canada,
days notice, thank you very much.
Yeah.
And you don't have to accept, you're not
Yeah,
locked
except
in
that no, but you
on the
are,
other side
because
either.
there's a lot of places that will ask for first and last month's rent, or in our case, they ask for a deposit.
Yeah.
And it's really unfortunate, but almost every single person that we have heard of so far in our building, even if they stayed the full time, even if they left because of other problems, even if they had to go back for whatever reasons, their deposits were taken.
okay, but that's like
You
a
know?
specific, like, that's,
It is a
I
specific
would say that
situation
that's
for
the
sure.
exception, probably
Yeah.
not the rule, or somewhere like as an average, because so
Yeah.
take us, like, we rent a villa, we pay high season, our rent was able to be negotiated a little bit longer, or a little bit lower if we signed like a year lease. But I have 3 children, we live in a 2-bedroom, I'm like, it's just not, and a small 2-bedroom, right, so I'm like, it's just
Yeah.
not working for us. But I know that when we leave, because we have a good, like, we have a
Yeah.
fantastic landlord who, like, when my baby was sick, she's like checking in on him and do you need anything, and if you need to go to the doctor, and if you need
Yeah.
time away from your family, let's go grocery shopping. Like, very, very
That's great.
helpful,
That's really nice.
wonderful human. So I mean,
Yeah.
like, that's
I think it really, if
that's
you get
who's
lucky,
on the
right?
other end of your
Yeah,
contract. Who's on the other end of your contract?
Exactly.
Whether that's a
Yeah.
vehicle, whether that's
Yeah.
a tour guide, like, who's on the other end of it, and what
Yeah.
are their intentions? Not
Yeah.
as a blanket statement of it's really hard, right?
Right.
But if you like, so, and you know this as a landlord in Canada, I don't know if anybody else has been. In Canada, as a landlord, your hands are tied. Like,
Yeah.
your tenant has so many
So much
rights
right,
to
yeah.
screw you
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
And again, it's one of those things that we accept there as the normal, and as tenants, we're like, haha, we got all the rights, we can do this, and then we come here and we're like, oh, we don't have those same rights.
Yeah.
We're not in Canada, we're
Yeah.
not in Kansas anymore.
But I
right?
also,
Yeah.
and you know, shameless plug, I do tell clients you have to find somebody.
Yes.
You don't do it on your own. If you're
Yeah.
coming here,
Because it's very easy
Find
to look
somebody.
at something online, right?
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
and it looks one way.
I feel like
you
we
know,
were-
Yeah.
But anything, right? It's like if you bought a car and you just saw a picture of it. Well, you know
Yeah.
that car, that picture was taken at the perfect angle when it was
Yeah.
freshly washed in
Yeah.
the sun.
How
Yeah.
many
It
times have we
Right.
looked at real
Same
estate
thing
listings
with
and been like, the
houses.
bedroom looks so huge, and then
Yeah.
you walk in and you're like,
100%.
Yeah.
oh, shit.
Yeah, our
You know?
apartments were completely empty. We had to buy almost everything to make it livable.
But ours
Yeah.
is completely furnished, fully
Yeah,
furnished, to the
that's
point
it.
of excess that we were
Yeah.
like, here, do you need some of our
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah.
So really, I mean, it's setting your intention.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that I would say is, like, do your research. Like, we did not.
Yeah.
We watched social media. We hadn't even looked at the DR. We were looking at Panama for, like, and we
Yeah. Intentional?
like that too.
Intended?
For a long, long time, I don't know what that word is,
Yeah.
looked at Panama, and that's
Yeah.
where we wanted to
I
go.
think that's my next stop.
But then my sister, who went, who lived in the same community as a lot of the people who are here from Ontario, was like, there's a huge expat community, like-minded people. That was you want to get into my heart,
Yeah.
like-mindedness. And so I'm like, Jay, there's gonna be all these people that are just like me.
Yeah.
He's like, so do we have to go there?
Like-minded though, like a lesson that
It's
I've
not
learned.
all like-minded.
That's it. Like just because you're like-minded does not mean you carry the same beliefs, morals, and values.
Yeah, so like for us,
Yeah.
the like-mindedness of here was the common thread. It's not
Yeah.
even like-mindedness. It's we have a
Yeah.
commonality of we left Canada.
Yeah.
We've talked about this.
Yeah.
Commonality of we left Canada.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Most of us for the same reasons, not
Yeah.
all of us, but the majority of us left because of why, you people watching are wanting to leave. You see what's happening, you don't like how it plays out. Prior to us coming here, we had more so been like you, whereas if COVID hadn't kicked us out, this was something we were working towards
Yeah,
because of
same.
what it cost my family to live in Canada wasn't an exchange I was willing to make
Your
anymore.
quality of life.
My
your
husband was gone all the
your
time,
time,
I was
your
homesteading, I was homeschooling, I was
Yeah.
solo parenting, he'd come home, and have 3 hours with the kids, and in that 3 hours I'm like, I need to get away from all of you because I've been with you all day and you're driving me nuts, and then there's no family time, right? Like the breakdown of the family unit is the designation of Canada. North America, I will say that, I will own that. So we were looking at it anyways, we ended up here, and because my sister had that trust factor, she physically knew these people who were saying these things online, and I'm like, okay, it's cheap, we can go there, we can grow food, we can do all the things, and then we get here and I'm like, we spent a lot more money
Yeah.
being here. I didn't know about a high season and a low season. Never once had anybody said about a high season or a low season, like that I caught. In all fairness, if somebody did and I didn't catch it, like that's on me. But I wasn't aware of how much a rental for a vehicle would cost
Yeah.
and how scarce they were to find a good quality one. that, you know, like we had to buy, you had to buy bottles of water to drink.
Yeah.
You know,
That's a
just
big struggle.
different things like that, that everything is in US dollars, and if you have to convert it, you lose money on the conversion.
Yeah.
That banking was hard. All of those things, like I was just so eager to leave the situation that I was in, that I didn't do my due diligence.
Yeah.
And now the things that I found that were surprising and things that were hard for me to deal with is like driving, which is a challenge just because there's motos everywhere, and no matter what
The driving
happens,
rules are not Canada.
there's just no rules.
Yeah.
And if you
Well,
get a
actually,
moto,
there are
even if
rules.
it's their
That's a
fault.
misconception. Like, you can get a ticket for being on your phone.
Yes,
while
you
you're
can,
driving.
but I just
There
meant
are
like the
rules,
actual like driving, which I
Yeah.
find hilarious because I'm like,
Yeah.
so I've actually watched people riding a moto with their feet up, rolling a joint.
Yeah, or drinking
Or
while
drinking,
driving.
or like
Yeah.
passing the cell phone back,
Yeah.
or like carrying
Yeah.
a load of 2x4s on their
Yeah.
shoulder. Like it's
Apparently,
mean.
you can get a big fine. Like, if a cop is just having a bad day or wants to take advantage, you can get a fine if you don't have an emergency kit in your car. Like, you're supposed to have a flare gun. You're supposed
That's
to
the
have
same as
like,
in Canada though,
Yeah.
and winter tires past October in many places,
Yeah.
right? There's a lot of things that we don't know about Canada and our rule system as well, that just if you have a cop that's having a bad day, that's like, you didn't use your blinker, and it's
Yeah.
like,
But also, a cop
seriously?
is having a bad day, it costs you 200 pesos. And
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
you try to have
Yeah.
a
Which is
cop in
like
Canada,
$4,
and you're like
Yeah.
going to jail,
Yeah.
right?
Which,
So-
and for good and for bad, right?
Yeah.
for sure.
To be
Yeah.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of money grab that happens, but I mean,
Yeah.
on the topic of safety, a lot of what I've realized, because again, I'm a woman who goes out without my, protector, man, or whatever you want to call him. Like, I mean, because I think that's what a lot of people think of, though,
Yeah.
right? Like when they see families together, they're like, oh, there's a man. It's not just a woman by herself, right?
Yeah.
I do a lot of like solo adventuring,
Yeah.
and I don't feel unsafe.
Yeah.
I feel
Which
more.
I don't think people know.
People don't know,
Like,
'cause like-
I wouldn't have had that.
I
idea
have
or-
felt way more unsafe living in Halifax and going out to a bar having drinks, getting in a taxi as a female by myself because of like sexual assault and things like that. Violent crimes. Here it's petty opportunity. You want to take my little bit of cash that I have and you're not going to hurt me? That's okay. You need it more than I do, but be mindful. Don't flash your money. Don't carry too much cash with you.
Yeah.
Don't wear expensive jewelry. It's the
Yeah.
same rule of
Yeah.
thumb that applies to living anywhere. It's just more on
And traveling. If you
display
ever travel
here.
to Europe, my God, like you never get told, like if you're traveling to Vegas or Barcelona or Rome, that like, oh my God, are you crazy? But the amount of theft and the amount of pickpocketing that goes on in those, like we had to travel with money belts because that was the only way. And legit 2 or 3 times on a 10-day Mediterranean cruise, we came home and our bags were slashed from underneath. And thank God they were only like recyclable bags, and the only thing we had inside was water bottle, extra sweater,
Yeah.
whatever. But they'd slash underneath your bag, and then somebody would come from behind and just hope stuff would fall.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
was 10 years ago.
There's also
in Europe,
the-
like in the safe, glossy,
Clean,
amalfi
beautiful,
house.
yeah.
There's also, we talked about this on a live on our Instagram page, because I'm like 3 videos into these conversations now on my Instagram, because it's really important for me to keep it real for the people who follow me and
The
who
more I see people
are
promoting
watching.
it without with only talking
Yeah.
about the good, and that's great.
Yeah.
Talk about the good, because there's a lot of
Yeah.
good about being here.
there is.
But there's a lot of hards that don't get acknowledged, and then you come here, and I feel like collectively, almost every one of us, or just about everyone I know, after a couple weeks of like your vacation, a collective
Yeah.
sigh of relief for not being where you were, wears off, you're like,
Yeah.
huh. And then depression sets in, and you're like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, my point was that I definitely have been one of those people who were programmed by my country and my parents and programming, like mainstream media programming, to feel that countries like this are very dangerous.
Yes.
You're gonna get raped, your kids are gonna get kidnapped, like it's dangerous. And I'm like, I have to question that narrative. Like, why is it that I'm being feared to travel? Like, why am I not being encouraged to have worldly experiences? Why is it that these certain TV shows or these government officials or these teachers portray these countries, especially the developing countries, as such a dangerous place for a person like me?
Mm-hmm.
I have to question that narrative.
And
like,
honestly,
why is that?
I know more solo female travelers that have traveled the world than I do solo men, male travelers.
Same.
Way more, and that are just like me, young, single, whatever, going out.
You're single?
No, I'm not single. But like single women who have traveled to places where you're like India and
Yeah.
back years ago, and I was
Yeah.
like, wasn't that that dangerous? Like, because I just thought, and they're like, I have never had more people offer help, more people offer accommodations, I've never felt safer, I've never made more friends.
It's trade-offs, right? Are you willing to make those trade-offs? Are you willing to come here with an open mind, or anywhere in the world for that matter? Are you willing to
Decondition
leave
yourself.
the safety of what is known, right? The known evils
Even
versus
though it's an
the unknown.
unsafe safety.
100%. And it's going to be uncomfortable, I think. It's going to be uncomfortable because it's different.
But that's where the
it's
growth
different
is.
where,
If
than
you're always
what you
comfortable,
had. That's right.
you don't grow.
So are you willing to, yes, once the vacation mode wears off and you're not eating out 3 times a day anymore and you have to start cooking and figuring out and how to get to, like, that's
Put your kids in school.
Side
how
note,
to
if
get
you
back
come
to
here
work.
and you need help cooking, Liz, I can help you with that.
But
And
that's-
if you need relocation, Nat can help you with that. And if you need mindset work, these lovely ladies can help you with that. And if you need a good laugh, I'm for that.
But it's true though, you have to be, I think, ready to accept that there will be challenges.
Yeah,
right? And I think
definitely.
anywhere, even when you go on 5-star, fully all-inclusive vacations and the
Totally.
brochure says all these things, there's gonna be things that are not what the brochure says.
Also,
It's
like,
not
don't
gonna
expect
be
a
what
hot
you
shower to
saw
last
on-
very long.
Oh my god!
You don't really need it though because you're not.
You
like,
cannot
you're not
shave your
cold.
legs and wash your hair in the same shower. It's just not. I've
We have
given
a
up
big
on that.
tank here, you can come over.
Oh,
So you just like,
no.
but you lower your
Don't tease me.
expectations or
Yeah.
you leave your expectations.
That's it,
That's the thing. I think the
Or
only
you get accustomed to cold showers.
totally.
Oh, yeah.
We have
It's
actually really good for your body.
Yeah.
But I think like throughout life, if we recognize that where our, like where our unhappiness comes from, when depression sets in, when being dissatisfied with something, it's because we had a preconceived notion
100%.
about how that person should behave,
Or the
what that should look like,
Yeah.
what the experience would be, how we would feel from it. We placed an expectation on something that we know nothing about.
Yeah.
But
And a
is
lot
it-
of those times, that's not even yours. That
No.
comes from your mom or your dad or your grandmother or your aunt
Social
or your
conditioning
school.
or
What is it you
whatever.
said to me last night? It's not right or wrong, it's just
It's
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what would be one of the things, like, obviously we've talked about all the realities, a lot of the realities, but what are some of the things that, you've embraced here that, not that it's different from Canada, but it's just like that thing you've really like taken on because, that positive thing, because I think that, we've talked about the realities, but there are a lot of good things about being here. What are
The pace of life
the pace of
is
life, yes.
so much slower.
Chill.
You can
Yeah.
feel it, and like you can actually feel everybody's
collective
heartbeat.
exhale,
That
like-
collective exhale. People don't speed walk anywhere, right? You're
Because
literally
they're gonna sweat.
You're
You're gonna
gonna
sweat.
time.
they're not like up your butt with their cart to get to, because they're not in a rush. If you run into someone in the parking lot, you're going to stand there for 15 minutes and chat about all the things.
Totally.
And you're not in a rush. You're not looking at your phone. You're not calling. You're not. If you're at a red, if the light turned red, it turned red. You're like, okay, whatever.
Oh,
I
that's
get
just-
honked
just-
at
and
that
different
day.
though. We're
Go,
we're
go,
a group
go,
of
at a red
5
light.
women sitting here right now. We all have cell phones available. Normally at home, if I was out for lunch or in a conversation, like at some point we'd all be checking our phone and checking the urgency of our life happening to
Yes.
us.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist now.
The pace is much slower, and I'm seeing it in my kids. And
Mhm.
that's been the biggest, like,
Mm.
it's one thing when you feel it, it's another thing when you literally see it on your kids' faces, that they're not, like, crunched and
Yes.
and vibrating
Yeah,
and stressed. They're just
crazy.
like, they're in it.
But that's
they're,
because
like,
of you
creative.
too, right?
They're,
They're picking up like
all-
that frequency is because of
and
you.
we're picking it up from everyone around us, right?
Exactly.
And like on the communal element of what we pick up from people, I know that like I'm a very independent person. And at home, so if we had one car at home and Jay happened to be out and I needed something, I would wait, no matter how disruptive to my day it was waiting for him to get home because I needed that thing. I would wait rather than phoning somebody and being like, hey, can you pick this up for me? Are you going this way? Here, I phone people and ask for rides or offer rides to people that I don't know, or like, oh, you're going to Costco, can you grab this for me? Like, there's such a community
freedom
undertow,
to-
even though we all live in different communities.
Yeah.
We don't see each other all the time. We can go long times without seeing each other. But you can pick up the phone to anyone, and this extends to like the locals if you knew them. This isn't just because we're all
Yes.
part of this
Oh yeah,
community.
I've used the local community
But
for
the
help.
helpfulness and the willingness of everybody, especially with that underlying like recognition of we're all in the same boat and we're all figuring this out.
We're all
So like
human,
let's
right?
all row together. Like it really is, instead of everybody doing their own thing. Because I know in North America, like in Canada, we all were so, I'll say conditioned to believe that we need to be so independent of everyone else. That's why families stopped living together and everybody moved out and got their own place, and women stopped,
Yeah.
collectively cooking together and gathering the families, and
Very
everybody
true.
did their own, everybody had their own homestead, everybody had their own homeschool rather than homeschool pods and doing those things. Whereas
So how
here,
are we part
we
of the
truly
conversation?
live in an element of like,
Those things sort of
how can we
exist, that neededness.
collectively share the work, because many hands make light work. And that's so beautiful from somebody who felt, like I felt so overwhelmed and overburdened
Yeah.
by all of the things that I once loved doing that then just felt like obligatory rather than enjoyable.
I would feel quite lonely, like thinking about going home. Like I cried so much because I'm like, I'm gonna be alone.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way here.
No,
Yeah.
not at all.
Annie, what did you,
Yeah.
what are your positive, or your thing you're
yeah.
embracing?
For me, it's really that mindset of seeing the fact that like money talks and it brings you opportunities here. So full disclosure, like in Canada, we have like bad credit and it's just,
So do we.
it's a fucking disaster. It's just like, you want to rent a place, here's your credit, you know, like even.
You're
in
judged on everything.
Yeah,
Like, your
yeah.
value is your credit score.
Exactly, exactly. Whereas
Your
here, some people
trustworthiness.
might see it like, oh, it's always a hassle, and people always ask me for money. To me, I just see it as opportunity. You have the money, you can pay it up front, like great. Like you can, but like for house financing, credit like isn't a thing here. You
Yeah.
have the cash up front. They're like, great, here you go. So yeah, to me, that's been really
Not what was your income for the last 5 years?
exactly. That's
Yeah.
it.
Who are all
of
your
the,
references?
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
That's a good
So,
point, I haven't even
yeah.
thought about that
To
one.
me,
but
I
yeah, you're
really
right.
see it as opportunity, and I don't see it as like, oh, they're trying to hassle me for money and
And it's
get
all
the most out of
negotiable
me.
too, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, whereas
Yeah.
I think that because it's not part of our culture, like we're compliant,
Very.
we're polite.
Yeah.
We take things just at face value. Like even at markets, we have farmers markets where you could probably negotiate the price in Canada, but I would go to them, I'd be like, oh, that's what it costs? Okay, that's what I'll pay you. Whereas here, I went to the fruit stand and I like picked out all my fruit, and then they're like, it'll be 750 pesos, and I was like, nope, I have 400. And so they tried to like take half my order away, and I was like, nope, I will give you 400 for all of this. And they were like, okay. So
Yeah.
you just have to be willing to have that conversation,
Yeah.
which is uncomfortable for us because we don't come from that.
Well, I've actually said to the,
Everything's
this is
negotiable.
I'm like, I know gringo price, I want the Dominican
Local, yeah.
price.
Yeah.
And they laugh, and I
I think,
so,
I think there's a way,
Yes.
right? Negotiation is very much a skill and something that's not frowned upon. It's not.
It's
the-
expected.
It's a way of
It's
life
expected,
here.
it's a way of life,
Yeah.
but I think as Canadians and as North Americans, there is a lack, like there's a bit of a disconnect of the warmth factor. And
Mm.
they don't do it in a
Sleazy.
or insulting or demeaning way, and I've heard it way too many times from Canadians and Americans, and I'm like, cringe. And it is a bit of a language barrier in its tone and its body
Yeah.
language, but it can come
Yeah.
across very derogatory.
Yes.
And I
Because
think
I think we
that
go to the
that people
lowest
need to
end of it,
soften
though.
that, or like
Not a
find the right
compromising
words
end,
and
right?
and you can say like, oh, you know, like, oh, this is not, I can't afford this, or no, not today, or, you know,
I'll think
okay,
about it
maybe
and I'll
whatever,
come
I'll think
back.
about it.
Yeah.
There's ways,
Yeah.
and then oftentimes they'll be like, okay, well, what do you have?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
can I, right? There's this
Yeah.
like, they'll lean in,
Yeah.
right? But I do see the flip side of it of what if this was my country
Yeah.
and someone was coming here and doing that to me
Yeah.
on my prices of my goods?
well,
Like, how would I
Yeah.
feel?
I think
Yeah.
that's
But it almost
I think
feels like
it's
Dominicans are very
tricky.
opportunistic. Like that's the thing. Like,
because you have to be though.
well, that's it,
You have to
right?
be
You
here,
have to
right?
be.
Like,
But
that's
is that
what-
because of the poverty level? Is that because of the mentality, the culture? Like, what is it that makes it such an opportunity for you to overreach for that high season, to
Because
Charge
that's
for
what
that
I see.
car.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that has nothing to do with Dominican though,
It's the
that's,
expats that are doing that.
but that's not a Dominican thing, that's a
Tourist,
sunny
any
destination
tourist
thing.
destination
Yeah.
thing.
any country
Yeah.
you go to,
I would also
Well,
say
that's what
phrase
they
it
make
almost
their
like
money
a
in
that
seasonal
chunk of
business
time.
though.
It's
Well,
Like,
that's it.
in
Yeah.
Canada, we
Yeah.
have seasonal businesses
Yeah.
yeah.
that run in the summertime, and you know
Yeah.
your prices or your Airbnb prices, like
Yeah.
because they have that
Yeah.
season, that short
small
eclipse of
window.
time.
I mean, that's fair because
To
my
make
house
all
is
of
on
their
a lake
money.
and I would charge more for the summer than I would for
Exactly.
the winter.
Whereas here,
Yeah,
they're
that's
like,
fair.
okay, we're gonna jack up our prices
And but
because you're
see, in
seasonally
Canada, that would
busy.
never be called sleazy or opportunistic. That
Yeah.
would just be, that's the supply
That's
and
just-
demand,
yeah.
that's just economic.
But I
Right?
think
That's
I
just
say
smart business.
opportunistic because I see it across the board. Like you're talking about with vegetables at the vegetable stand, with the renting of the car, with the buying the boogie boards. Like when you go to all these local shops and stuff, to me, and I could be wrong and it's fine and nobody has to agree with me and these are my feelings and I'll work through them because they're not serving me to carry forward, but I definitely like that whole gringo thing is very fucking real. You know, like it does seem like it's almost like, but you're also right when you say like you're walking into my country, why wouldn't a white person like me who has a little bit more money than the local just pay the price that they're charging? But because I know that there is that gringo and Dominican difference, like if I live here, you're gonna charge me less as if I'm a tourist. Like that does rub me the wrong way. So I shall track that and clear that.
Like I'll give you some key phrases of just I live here.
Yeah.
This is my home.
Yo vivo aquí.
So if you say that to someone, like if you go in and something is ridiculously $50 for a water bottle or flip flops for your kid who just broke their flip flops at the beach, you can very easily look at the person with a lot of warmth and just say, yo vivo aquí. You know, like, is it possible? Could you maybe?
Oh, I have no issue haggling. Like I'll always haggle.
But in a way that's not like aggressive or I'm a tourist and I don't want it, because they do look at us like we are rich tourists.
Exactly.
And that might be true for some people or some areas, but the further out you get, like you drive 25 minutes past where you are and it's like water is 30 cents a bottle instead of $2 at the all-inclusive Maria's restaurant. But we would pay that back home too. If you went into a bar and you got a bottle of water, it would be $5.
Well, I think,
and you wouldn't be shocked. You'd just be like, oh, it's because we're in a bar and it's $5 and the definite. Like,
I think
it
really stems from that expectation of things being cheaper here.
Yes.
So it is
shocking.
Yes.
It is shocking.
And
It's location based.
I mean, one of the things I'm grateful for here, and I know this is almost superficial, but when we came here, we got a cleaning lady, and this was all foreign to my life. I was like, what is this woman who comes to my house twice a week in the beginning, does my laundry, cleans my house.
Yes, luxury.
I was embarrassed.
It's affordable.
I was embarrassed, right, to have her
Such luxury.
to be like functioning in my house, and she'd be like puttering and doing anything. I was like, oh my gosh. Now, as time went on, I have actually cut her. She only comes twice a month now, and I told her, you can either come twice a month or not at all, because my budget now, this is what I can do.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay. But when she comes, I still pay her the rate that I was paying her at my first place, because she was gonna take less, and I was like, well, if you're doing the same job, I'm gonna give you the same money, right?
Yeah.
I drove her home yesterday. She was like so grateful. I didn't drive her home. I drove her to the corner wherever she goes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and she comes those twice a month now, and I'm super grateful, and I try and keep my house as clean as possible for like 3 days, and it's very exciting. My laundry's done. I don't have to do any for like 4 days now, and I've embraced that. It's a gift that I give us, and
right?
It's time, but also
it's time.
it makes the transition. So for people like our landlord, Alexandra, told us that from the get-go. I have 3 young children, and she said, if you ever need a cleaning lady, I recognize that it's, because this is their culture, everybody, especially people who aren't from here that live here, have people that help. You can get a maid, I mean, cleaning lady, maid, same thing. You can get you can get a cook, you can have a pool person, you can have all of these things so that you can enjoy your time.
But you're also giving back to the community here when you hire these people, and that's a beautiful thing.
I mean, she's been with me for almost a year.
It's amazing.
And
who's part of your family?
she's
Our pool guy, we're gonna be sad to say goodbye. Like, we've been in our house for 3 months, and my kids are like, I'm gonna be really sad to say goodbye to Santo. And I'm like, he's our pool guy, and we love him. We he gets water for us. I give him coffee every morning. I was joking, I'm like, he probably doesn't drink coffee, but he's just like polite. I fed him a bowl of soup the other day. Jay's like, watch out the side for that. If you see some soup out the side, he didn't want to be rude.
I got attached to the cleaning service that we have in our building, and one lady ended up leaving and the other one passed away, and I was like, no.
But they become an extension of your life, and what you recognize
they're in your home.
Well, not only that they're in your home, but like they bring ease to you. I don't think any one of us is like, I want to spend the day cleaning today. or I want to
this one.
But like
really good energy, like transmutation.
For sure.
So.
But I mean, hiring somebody to look after your children in your home, having a live-in nanny or a live-out nanny, like these are things that we would be considered spoiled for having at home. And cost more, so that you would have to have a certain elevated life, income to allow that lifestyle. But like, my sister has 5 children, and she's had a live-in nanny, and then a live out nanny, since she probably had like 2, because she also runs businesses, and she's like, I can't do it all.
No.
I can't do it all effectively, I can't do it all efficiently, I can't do it
Yeah.
all enjoyfully. If I am doing it all,
Preach.
how
Can't do it
can
all.
we pull people in and
Yeah.
create more abundance, more wealth, more
Takes a
time
village.
freedom for everybody? And here it is culturally encouraged and culturally acceptable to do that. So I think like that's a big thing for people who are coming here, is that you can afford to run your life very differently and have the support that you may count on your grandparents to
Yeah.
give, or aunts and uncles,
Yeah.
without them
Is that
being
like
here.
extended?
Yeah, and you can also
community.
choose to not live in Cabarete in a high-rise building on the beach for $1,800 a month.
Yeah,
You know, like, it's all
we
choice.
live in
But that's
Sisua.
part of
Yeah.
the journey, right?
Yeah.
It's part of the, okay,
Yeah.
where do I feel comfortable now? I experience this. What do I want to experience
I
next?
think we're
What
probably
is
gonna
the
lose
trade-off?
lose this soon. So real quick to wrap
Yeah.
up, like what would you like? What's your biggest takeaway from coming? Would you recommend it? Would you still do it, knowing the things? What would you do differently? What advice can you give?
Yeah.
I would recommend people come and try. Come
Yeah.
and try first. Come and live for a month, not in a resort.
I
Not
don't even think a
in-
month is enough. I feel like that's still vacation mode.
But
if you're
if
in a
you-
house
if-
though, and cooking and cleaning and
Yes,
doing the things
come-
that puts you fast forward.
That's
to
right,
it.
and make an effort to really assimilate into the culture, because that's the reality, right? It's not going to be the all-inclusive. That will wear off. So come and try, and don't assume someone else's experience will be like, none of us are the same, right? Even best and best of
100%.
friends and
We haven't
Yeah.
had
will
the
not
same
be
experience, yeah.
your lens is completely different. So come if you can and experience it first, and if you can't, then don't expect that it's going to be XYZ. That just like
Leave
kind
the
of
expectations.
clear that. It's like right before you have kids, right? It's gonna be this way or that way. Like
It
no,
never
it's not. It never is, right?
And each kid is different. So like each
And
community
as
you
soon
live
as
in,
you
each
think you
villa.
figured it out, it's like curveball, right? Like
Yeah.
be prepared for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
You and
great
Yeah.
advice.
Well, for me, something that really helped me is that I had spent a lot of time in world schooling groups. So that was really helpful to see how other people who are like truly expats who travel a lot, how they do it, whether it's like on the ground. I had joined groups that were specifically like in the Dominican, people who were living the community style. So that was really helpful, and to really see everything, like to choose to see the silver linings. You know, there's going to be a lot of things that aren't what you expected, or it sucked, or this is a shock, and it's just like, can I change it? Nope. So I acknowledge it, I move on. I choose to focus and
Yep.
see the silver linings in pretty much everything, and it's
And that's a great rule for
Helps.
life.
Yeah.
As is that, right?
Yeah.
These are, I think, all of our advice is like the playbook for life, but
Yeah.
just even
Yeah.
more specific to when you're going into the unknown.
Yeah. And a little side note that I want to say about the Dominican, why I specifically chose this doing the research, is because of the visas and that you can stay here
We didn't even
like up
talk
to
about
10
that.
years.
Yeah, and just
Because
like-
I didn't
Tourist
see,
visas
that's it, like I didn't see myself doing border runs every 90 days with a 6 and 4-year-old.
Yeah.
Like that's very stressful for me. I'm like, I've given up the security of having like a stable home and just packing up, but the border runs just put me on edge. So yeah, being able to stay here up to 10 years with literally like no hassle, just pay a fee, I was like winning.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. The advice that I would give are 2 things. So do whatever you can to not make a decision based out of fear. Really look within, meditate on it. If you need mindset shift perspectives, or if you need to really clear things that are not serving you, like we're more than happy to help anyone with that process. But when you make a decision based out of fear, you end up crashing and burning. Like it's not going to serve you and your family. And to go with that is try as much as you can. If you're coming as a family and you're in a couple, that both of you are on the same page. You have both like the same big picture and long-term view, because if not, it's going to cause a lot of friction in your relationship. It's just a fact. That's just there. I've spoken to so many couples that are here, and I don't know any one singular couple that hasn't experienced that. One is really happy here, one is not happy here. Like I've never experienced it where it's been like 100% perfect across the board. There seems to be
That's
a lot
life,
of,
though, right?
and that's normal, but like definitely be on the same page and have a bigger picture and talk about what your expectations are and what you both want for your family as a whole. And then the second thing I really want to say is give yourself grace, because you're going to experience missing your home, missing your comforts, missing your known, missing your family, missing the ease of filtered water, missing the ease of a bathtub if you're a bathy. You know, there's going to be things that you're going to miss, and it's okay to miss those things. It doesn't make you wrong. It doesn't make, it doesn't make your decision leaving wrong. just because it might be hard to adjust here, just because it might be hard to be away from family, hard with money, hard with affordability, doesn't make you being here the wrong decision.
Yeah.
And give yourself grace.
Yeah.
That's my advice.
I'm a go big or go home kind of girl. So anybody who asks me says, I say do it. But have a bit of a plan. Have a bit of a framework that you know where you want to land. Shameless plug. Talk to somebody like myself who's helping people shift.
For anybody who doesn't know, shameless plug is.
Yeah. No, and that's not the goal of this conversation,
No,
but I wish.
It actually is kind of the goal, because so many people, the reason I wanted to do this is because people reach out to me because they see my social media and they're like, what is it really like? And I'm like, well, I can only give you my perspective, which is why I wanted to open this up to all perspectives.
Yeah.
But there are people who create a livelihood and a community of helping people relocate. So that's what Nathalie
Yeah,
is.
and I wish that I had a me in the process, even from back home.
I wish I had a you in the process.
Yeah.
I wish that even back in Canada, have somebody help me with the check boxes, because like we forgot our reference
And those
letter
should
from
be
the
paid
bank.
services. There's no shame for charging people.
Yes,
Like it's
absolutely.
really important.
Yeah.
Don't go to someone like Nat or like Tanessa or like us and expect us to help you walk through what you need to do to get here for free. This is our time and our energy and our experiences, and we deserve to be paid for that.
Well, and there are also
Yeah,
some
thank
things
you.
like that I didn't know. Like if we wanted to get our cedula, we would have had to have started that process
Yes.
in Canada.
There's some really important.
There are some
pieces,
important
and-
pieces
Yeah.
that a professional can help you with,
And
and a different
and I
perspective.
think it's about just having a somewhat of a plan that works for your family. So just on the topic of, we only touched on accommodations, but there's such a broad spectrum to look at. So look at what is affordable. What do you want? Listen, we went from a 2-story penthouse and we're moving to a 2-bedroom condo now. We're doing it for what works with our family and not what we thought we would be doing for people who might come and see us, right? So that's just, so make sure that it works for you and your family and not for everyone else. So that's my, my big takeaway, and go for it. Just don't, and
live once.
yes, and if somebody asked me, I think it was you when we chatted, it was like, oh no, maybe it wasn't you, I don't know. But like, what made you decide to do, well, when I was 26, I packed up my whole life in Toronto and hopped on a cruise ship and sailed the high seas for 6 years, and that was still in me to do this.
Yeah.
So, I know it's not everybody's like me, and that's fine, but go big. Go big, go home. Yeah.
I think for me, I would say,
Scriptures.
like, don't take your North American mindset and the
Yes.
quality of life that you have there, that you are actually looking to leave, and bring that with you. And try to recreate it, or have an expectation, or even pack it up with you, because at some point you have to unpack it.
Yeah.
And you look around you, like, I had a lot of relationship problems before I left with my husband. It was really hard for us because we've been together for a really long time, and you grow, and just life, kids, family, all the things. And I knew that a part of that for me was not, like, my spirit is everywhere. It's not in one place specifically. We've lived across Canada 3 times because I don't like to stay still. I get bored, I like to run away from things, but I also like to run towards things. It's not just what are you leaving, it's what are you getting. And I knew that, I could see the writing on the wall for my choices of life in Canada. And so I wanted to do this, but this is like my vision that I asked him to buy into, and it was hard. And so we just kind of packed everything up in our suitcases emotionally, and we were like, okay, it's good, we're dealt with. And then, a month into here, all of a sudden I had to unpack those suitcases, and I was like, oh, same shit, different country.
Yeah. Oh, big time.
You have work to do, you're still gonna have
And
work to
even
do.
more
so you have-
amplified, I find.
And even
Yeah.
more amplified because you have extra challenges on top of that.
Yeah.
That being
on
said-
top of the current world status.
That being
right?
said, part of what I had said to Jay about like wanting to leave was I'm ready to put down our Canadian stresses and just pick up different stress for a while. I didn't think that we would have no stress, but I was ready for a different kind of stress because that had just like I was so fatigued from that. And it's so beautiful here that you can be yourself. And I'll say this for children. I have 3 kids who have never had a haircut. And back home, like my son has long blonde hair, and it's crimpy, so people think all the time that he's a girl who straightened his hair, and I would get comments all the time about cut his hair and cut his hair and cut his hair. And here you see people that are so comfortable with accepting themselves and accepting other people that it's never a question of, is that a boy or a girl? It's just, that's a
Why
human.
does it even matter?
It
Why do
doesn't
people
matter,
feel
but
the need to say something?
in our culture, because it's cultural.
I
That's
know,
a
it's
cultural
wild.
thing there, right?
Wild.
So just, if you're somebody who's really looking to be able to feel accepted, accept others, experience like wholeness of self in a completely different way, I strongly recommend that you get outside of your comfort zone and see what the rest of the world is, because no matter how much social media research you do, no matter what your Google searches look like, you will never understand what it's like to be somewhere until you're
Feel
there.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until you're
Gotta
there,
live to be
So you're
right?
breathing it.
Yeah.
So you're
You'll
feeling
never
it.
So
understand.
get comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, get
That's
comfortable
where the growth lives. my
with the
loves.
new uncomfortable, because so many of us have gotten comfortable with our uncomfortable.
I
right?
think that's
It
what
was
the new normal should
uncomfortable
be. Get
for us to be in
uncomfortable.
Canada, but we were comfortable with it.
Mhm.
So I say that to people often, like, again, it's the choose your heart. Every decision that you make in life, you can apply this to moving, you can apply this to business, children, relationships, whatever. There's two paths. There's a hard. There's a hard on this side and there's a hard on this side. So for marriage, staying together is hard, separating is hard. Choose your heart. Having kids is hard, not having kids is hard. Choose your heart. Staying in a career you hate is hard. Going out on your own is hard. Choose your heart. And recognize that it's a choice. And choose what's more palatable of a hard for you. That's it.
And on that note,
Love it.
thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So make sure that if you have any questions for